And we are live. I do apologize, everybody. Sabah, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I am back in the studio, but of course, with the fact of being gone for a couple of weeks, not being able to do a live show from the studio here, uh, mistakes and technical issues. I want to make sure my audio is working. Of course, come up, and that's how typical life is. Um, I do want to say thank you very much for everybody hanging out with us. I see Greg, I see Ron's hanging out with us already, and of course, starting us off on the show on this beautiful Saturday. Now, this is Saturday, the 23rd. I want to make sure I'm not getting the wrong day. And technically, there's one more Saturday in the month, of course. But July is already kind of heating up. We're seeing a lot of launches, a lot of events for devices that are considered to be somewhat mid-rangers or devices that are intended to be more budget-friendly, but still give you a very good performance experience. Well, obviously, we're talking about the fact that there's a couple of devices. There's the Nothing Phone one that was launched. There's also the Reno 8 Pro, which I have here in the studio. And of course, we have the Pixel 6a, which was just delivered yesterday. I guess the embargo on reviews, so on, or for early media was a couple of days ago. Teampixel started getting their devices yesterday. And of course, we're able to start talking about some of the cool things that the Pixel 6a brings in. And in my opinion, and at least is what we talked about yesterday when Juan and I had the unboxing, a live unboxing live stream done on both of our channels. This is kind of, renovating, or not renovating, but like reinventing the A series of devices, and actually a very good way of taking a page from Apple's book of providing us still a powerful SoC in a mid-ranger price point. So $449 is what the Pixel 6a is striving to do, or try to basically provide us. Now, this is the 6a that I got. It's a sage color. It's a little bit more greenish, and I hope it does show up better. It definitely looks greener in light. That'll be a little bit better. One thing I will mention, though, there is, for anybody that's listening to the show, there'll be a link in the show notes, of course, if you'd like to pre-order it. As Google right now is doing it for pre-orders, you actually get a free pair of Pixel Buds A series. Now, this is the buds that they released last year. This is not the Pixel, and I'm showing a picture, I'm holding it up right now for the video side. These are the buds that were released last year. These are not the original buds, and they're rated to be about $100. So essentially a $300 pair of buds with the Pixel 6a. I feel like it's a little bit more because about the fact that the Pixel 6a lost the headphone jack from last year, and we don't have a headphone jack on the 6a series, even though it's more of a budget-friendly device. The Pixel 5a still had a headphone jack, and this is kind of, again, the reinvention of the line. One of the other things I will probably also notice on this is the design of the A series now is a lot more in line with what we see with a Pixel 6 and a 6 Pro. The same bar, the visor bar at the top, not glass, definitely not glass, looking plastic here. It looks like it has glass on it, but it's really plastic. Really nice, very nice coating of plastic on the back. And of course, a tailored experience when it comes down to the camera side, as we see here a dual 12 megapixel camera setup, similar to what we saw last year. We have an 8 megapixel camera on the front that's also also similar to what we saw last year. And actually, that one does kind of mirror what's on the 6 series. Now, this entire thing is powered by the Google Tensor processor, a built-in home SoC system that has proven itself to be very powerful. Now, we've heard it before, we've seen it before. It's not the most powerful SoC, but at the end of the day, realistically, I feel like hardware-wise, we have actually reached a point where we are beyond what we really need on a daily basis. So this is definitely not a flagship. This is not going to be the best of the best that Google is offering. The 6 Pro is still going to be there. And very shortly, in a couple of months or so, we're going to be hearing about the Pixel 7 and the 7 Pro. Those are going to be the 2022 into 2023 Pixel flagship smartphones from Google. But we're going to talk about that a little bit more. I'm going to answer some of the questions that we have in here. I wanted the seafoam color, but they didn't have that for the 6 Pro. Oh man, yeah, Michael, I'm totally with you on that one. Sam, good morning, Sabah. I hope you're doing well. Finally made it to the stream. Sam, you and me both. We finally made it on time. The last couple of weeks or so, I've been streaming in conjunction with Juan Carlos on the Best of Our Week. One of my biggest things that I actually needed to do with a Saturday show. Now, as you know, it used to be called a Saturday Morning with Tech, and it's a great title, but it locked me into a day of the week that I had to put the show out. So I couldn't put it on Friday and call it the Saturday Morning with Tech. That was the primary jettison of why we wanted to rename the show, and the Android Bay kind of made it easy for me to be able to move the show. Now, I've consistently stayed on the, consistently more like a 98, 95% time, because the last couple of weeks are obviously perfect examples. But we're on episode 126. So we're here. Saturday morning is typically when we provide the show. But I want the flexibility of if I need to put the Android-based show in the middle of the week for some reason because of travel coverage as things starting to pick up, that gives me the flexibility. And sometimes when I don't have access to internet, like last week, Thursday was the way to do it, because if otherwise we would have missed an entire show that week, and I don't want to do that. So a little bit of background, and I hope you guys understand. I got a couple of messages asking me if the podcast is over. It is not. It was just working itself out through summer. Let's just say that. So yeah, definitely. Sam, good morning. Hope you're doing well. I'm glad to see you here. Davin Davis, good morning. Hope you're doing well as well. Sabaho. I see Greg. I see everybody else kicking it with us. But on the opposite side of the conversation, the beginning of the week, I also had another an embargo, I guess we had for the Reno 8 Pro. Now, this is obviously a OPPO mid-range a mid-range device. The Reno line at one point was striving to be the best of the best, and I think OPPO kind of shifted it where it now becomes a little bit more of mid-range, where the A series on OPPO side is more of their budget side. So we have the Find series, that's their performance side, and we saw the Find X5 Pro. It still is one of my favorite devices of the year. The OPPO Reno 8 Pro is, to a certain point, bringing in a lot of good parts. And I'll say this, for if you haven't had a chance to check out the video, there'll be a link on that. And of course, it's over on the main channel, the TK Bay main channel. So youtube.com/TK Bay. And if you'd like to watch that one in Arabic, there's also an Arabic video for, youtube.com/Tarek Bay, Tarek Bay. We're bringing in a couple of new technologies in here. Now, we've seen the IMX766. We've seen it on many devices. It's a very good performing camera sensor, and we've seen it even on flagship devices. It's a 50 megapixel, very nice performer. OPPO's done a really good job of utilizing that sensor, and it's literally the best experience that you're going to be able to get that here. What I like about this is that they brought in their custom NPU, the Mari Silicon. That's something that we saw on the Find X5 Pro, and they brought that down to the Reno series. And this is the first device that we've seen it. So OPPO's definitely focusing and doubling down on their own custom in-house NPU. So basically the neural processing unit that they use for imaging and processing and for low light performance. So definitely one of the reasons why the Find X5 Pro did so well is because of that. And of course, we see that here. The other thing they also brought in here is a custom version of the 8100 Dimensity chipset from MediaTek. It's a departure from what we've seen in the past. Reno devices typically got the 1200, the 1100 series of MediaTek processors, still custom editions for them, but still more of a lower end mid-range. They're very capable, don't get me wrong, very happy. You will not have a problem with them. But switching over to the 8100, that's a little bit of a step up. That's like kind of nudging into the 9000 series. So they're no longer trying to play it safe. They're really going for and giving you some of that best experience. Chargers in the box, we get still very good camera experience, very good audio performance, a beautiful, gorgeous display. And of course, I posted a couple of videos sharing some of my I guess, experiences using it on vacation, because that was the phone I was using to document my vacation with my family. And you can imagine if you're using a phone for that purpose, purposely only that, you trust that device. You know how that device works. And I'm hoping that you guys enjoy that video. So that's already on the main channel, and it's been sitting there. And of course, going to be really, really nice and a good watch. Oh man, look at that. Rogerbot, Mr. Rogerbot, Life Attack himself, hitting it up with us here. Hey, TK, good to see you. Thank you very much, sir. I am happy to be back. I'm happy to be back in my environment, a little bit more stable, better audio, better video, and no weather issues that could potentially cause any problems on top of any, on a boat kind of a situation. But no, the vacation was nice. The family had a good time, and I was happy that although the internet on the ship on cruise ships is tremendously slow, like seriously slow. The example would be the Arabic video that I had to upload for the Arabic channel on the Reno 8 Pro. Literally took me 30 hours, 30 hours of upload time for approximately 2.3 gigs of video file for about 2.3 gigs. Now, that may not sound like it's super bad, but you have to think about the fact that we're going back into like early DSL, early dial-up. I'm not going to say dial-up, but like really early internet connections. And it was very surprising for me. I was very late to posting that video. Sorry. And I apologize for the audio for that cough there. But the English one was up first, and the Arabic one took a little bit longer. But long story short, I definitely got my money's worth out of that internet package on the boat, but it was extremely slow. And it is something to keep in mind if you ever do go on a cruise and there's an internet connection. Do not bank on that. but that's what caused some of my issues with not having a show on Saturday as my typical time. I could have had that one, obviously, but I just could not be connected fast enough. That day we were on Project Fi in Juneau, Alaska, and that was the only way for me to connect because T-Mobile was just not having it. So luckily I had some backups and I thought about them in advance. But again, long story short, good time, safely came back. And of course, I hope you guys had some good times as well. And I know the heat waves is kind of going through its paces, but I hope everybody's starting to cool down a little bit. I see Marilyn. Good morning, Marilyn. Nice to see you there. And Sam's jumping with, I'm glad that the 6A is finally being covered. I didn't already have the Pixel 6, but I'm snagging the 6A for sure. And if you are going to be snagging it, Sam, there is a link in the description if you'd like. But otherwise, make sure to get that extra thing. If you go on any other sites, not everybody's including the buds in the actual order. You have to manually add them so you can get them as part of that promotion. But for some reason, Amazon just did it like, we're not even going to bother. It's literally the listing, the 6A with the buds for the same price. So it works really nice. But I hope you definitely enjoy it. But yeah, Greg is like, holy cow, 30 hours. Yeah. It was crazy. I thought I gave myself enough time. Like I thought really like 14 hours should be more than enough. But literally it was turtle speed. And it has something to do with satellite internet and the fact that as you go northern into the northern hemisphere of our globe, especially the colder climates with a lot of mountains, there's a lot of interference apparently to the internet, and it drops down connection speed quite badly. It got better by the time we got to San Francisco, but by that point the video was already up. So yeah, it's one of those challenges we have to do. So here, Nithin Raj is asking, how is the Pixel 6a? So out of the box, honestly, with the impressions, this is barely 24 hours. I got my phone later in the afternoon. The build quality is actually pretty good. I like the build quality over what we had with the Pixel 5a. It feels more premium because of that glassy feel that we have on the back. And the look actually just, again, kind of consistently stays with what new Pixels are going with. So you're getting that very unique, striking look. Performance-wise, without any exception, obviously, is we're looking at the Tensor processor. I will say this: Geekbench does not install on the Pixel 6a yet by itself. I tried sideloading it, and I got some really crazy numbers, which tells me it hasn't been approved, and Geekbench is not running numbers. So Geekbench is getting smarter about this, where people will be able to benchmark devices ahead of time. The reason I say this is technically this phone is not officially out. It comes out next week on the 28th, 27th to 28th, which was the official announcement from Google. So we'll see a lot more press going on there. I'm hoping to have some kind of content going on for it, obviously, before then. This week with yesterday's show and today's show has been primarily just unboxing, but essentially answering questions. So to answer your question on how does it feel, how has it been so far within the first 24 hours, build quality is pretty solid. It's not glass. It definitely is plastic. You're definitely going to be able to notice the differences between it and a 6 and a 6 Pro, but it's not trying to be them. So that's the biggest thing. It's a great mid-range device. Good display, an OLED panel that we have in here at 60 frames per second. I'm mentioning this because of the conversations yesterday. Of course, the stereo speakers sound pretty good. Connectivity is pretty consistent. I had 5G right out of the box. I use it on T-Mobile, so this is a 5G device here on T-Mobile. Let me go ahead and see if I can download, while we're talking, we'll download a speed test and see how much I'm actually able to get here in my home. I didn't run a speed test yesterday outside. I did go out, but I did not get a chance to do that. So I'll go ahead and, nope, I don't want to install Speedmaster. This is weird. Okay, and before I knew it, it was already installed. That's not what I was trying to install here. So let's go ahead and install this guy. And display is pretty decent, very nice, large display, slightly smaller than what we got last year. It's about 6.1 inches, but it's an OLED panel, stereo speakers. The haptics are actually pretty decent. Again, mid-ranger, keep that in mind. And of course, 6128 as far as the storage and RAM. There is one configuration, no other, but there is 3 colors available of it. I got myself the Sage one, which was really nice. I like that one. I was joking with Juan a couple of days ago saying, hey, if I'm ordering mine, I'm going to put it in. I want to go for the Sage one. That's the one I want to actually enjoy using. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm giving the permissions, as you can imagine. The speed testing app needs to know my life saving. I'm just kidding. All my experiences in here. So we're going to go back here. We're going to say done. And I'm going to go ahead and, that's not what I can cancel. I'm going to turn off the Wi-Fi. And here we are. So I'll give it a second to connect. and it is connected on T-Mobile. So I'm going to give it a second here. So I'm not running full bars. That's something just to keep in mind. We are in a studio. I'm inside a home. So it's going to be basically the best I'm able to get at home on the Pixel 6a if I was not to use Wi-Fi. So this is just running on T-Mobile, and we'll see how fast the 5G. It is a sub-6 5G, not an ultra-wide wideband. So keep that in mind if you're picking that up. So definitely keep that in mind, and hopefully that answers the questions that you're having there. Davin is jumping in. Sam, I have the same thought. So yeah, it's a very compelling device. Very, very compelling when you think about the fact, the price point and the features that you're getting. And of course, we're talking all of the new features that we got with the Pixel series and what we get with there. So I'm hoping you guys could see this. Let's go ahead and bring this up to focus. So 50 megabits down, 9 megabits up. This is on 5G here in the Los Angeles area. And this is in home. And I can tell you, I can guarantee you, I can hit at least 200 to 300 if I go out and I'm walking around or driving around in the area. Typically, I measure how much I'm able to get at home as a good benchmark, because if I ever do need to switch over to using it for any power outages or so on, this is the best way to look at it. So hopefully that makes sense, and I'm hoping that actually makes sense really nicely. Let me see here. I'm mixing something. Finn Jacobs jumped in. He said that's about 0.3 megabits speed upload. From quick calculations are correct. It was ridiculously turtle speed. If not turtle, I would say probably snail speed. It was like, I was surprised. I'll just say this. I was surprised that I was able to upload as much as I was able to. Every video I posted within the last week and a half. So last week's all 3 or 4 videos that I posted last week, and this week's 2 videos earlier this week were all posted off of the ship's internet connection. So although it was slow, I was having to be very proactive and upload my content way earlier. The Xiaomi 12s, the 12 Lite video that I posted a couple of weeks ago, that was uploaded obviously before I left. So that was uploaded in my home's internet connection. But it really humbled me being an internet content creator or an internet person that has to be connected. And basically, what are you able to do on a really slow internet? I was able to communicate with most people, but I could not stream a single thing. And that was really frustrating. Like, I couldn't jump on Roger's live stream. I couldn't jump on Juan's on the SGGQA either days, on both Mondays, since I was allowed technically for both. But it was very, very humbling to realize that, I really need the internet to be able to function. And if the internet is down, that it just kind of shuts it down. But as somebody mentioned to me earlier, he said, sometimes you may want to disconnect. And I did. I tried as much as I could. But it was more about making sure that I had content for you guys and the content to stay on the channel, because as you guys know, you take a week, YouTube algorithm just takes a dive, because that's how life is, and we're trying to do better. Sabah Chemi, hope you're doing well. Glad to see you back in the show. Oh my God, 107 here in St. Louis today. Oh my God. Okay, so Sam, I think you're gonna win. We are at 101. Although, what's 5 degrees between France? I'll just say that. It's hot. It's ridiculously hot. But what I would wonder, though, what I would really actually wonder, Sam, is do you guys have that with humidity? Because we have 101 with no humidity. It's a different heat, but it still, gets cooking. But for sure, a different type of experience. Jimmy Fire Dragon, hope you're doing well. Nice to see you again. You can get a brilliant deal here on Amazon UK, the 6A with the Pixel Buds Pro for $3.99. Oh, great. Oh, okay. You guys got a better deal. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Buds A are really nice. It's a great deal. Don't mess with it. Definitely pick it up here in the US. But in the UK, you're able to pick up the Pixel Buds Pro. I'm not sure if it's because the A series never made it to the UK. Maybe you can clarify that for me. But I think, the Pixel Buds Pro come out next week also. But they were not sent to us by Teampixel. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The device that was sent to us was basically a review unit. So thank you very much to Google, or Made by Google, for the gift from Google. This is just basically clarifying that this was sent to me from Google as basically a review unit for me to be able to share my opinions on this as part of being part of Teampixel. So I definitely want to say thank you very much there. But yeah, in the US at least, you're able to pick up these guys, and they sound pretty good. I'm looking forward to seeing what the Pixel Buds Pro do. This is, again, the first Pro series that Google's putting out. A lot of promises were put out there. So my experience obviously is going to be based on what we see here in the US. But if you're in the UK, make sure you snag that order, because that's a great deal. Those are $200 in the US at least. It's a $200 pair of buds that you're getting free with a $449 price. So like extra 50 euro pound, extra 50 pounds for the extra for the buds included. I think it's worth it for sure. Oh my God, when we talk heat, we talk heat. Sam, that is brutal, Sam, definitely. TK, how about Antutu? So, actually, that's a good question. Let's see if we can download and install Antutu. In the actual Play Store right now, if you try to download Geekbench, it doesn't actually show up. So let's see here, Antutu benchmark. No, Antutu. No, actually, hold on. Antutu benchmark. Oh, that's the guide app. No, so even the Antutu benchmark app doesn't show up. So when you try to put the word benchmark in there, I think there's a certain number of things that are not yet functional. The other thing I also want to mention, we are not running the latest version of the software. The software that I have on my device is running the. Let me see here. If I'm not mistaken, I'm still running on April. I don't think it updated overnight. Yeah, so we're still running April 5th, 2022 security patch update. So here, let me show you guys real quick. So April 5th is the security patch update. So in theory, these devices don't have the latest and greatest version of the software, mostly because they're not out. Although I wonder, I guess in my mind, I'm wondering a little bit how were reviews done on non-final software? I don't, or maybe they had versions of software loaded up on their systems. It could be a different situation. Since our unit is technically supposed to be more closer to retail, that's probably why we don't have the security patch update. Updates are only pushed out to devices that are actively being sold, and this is technically not being sold yet. It's pre-ordered, so we'll have to see how that goes. Does it have the action pan? Let me see what we have as far as video. So here, we're going to jump into the camera, and we have time lapse, slow motion, and we also have a couple of extra photosphere, panorama, and lens. No action cam on this one. Action pan, sorry, I keep doing it. But as far as time lapse, we do have up to 120 times, slow motion. From 1/4, let's see here, we have 1/4 normal, and of course we have a telephoto and prime. Well, essentially it's a prime with a crop. There is no ultra wide when it comes down to video at this point, or I think it's mostly because I switched over to 4K. So let's switch over. Yeah, I can take that back. So if you're trying to shoot 4K 60 frames per second, since Tensor supports it, that limits you to using the main sensor on this, the primary 12 megapixel sensor on the back. The one thing I also will mention, even though it kind of looks like it's an entire bar, let me see if we can show you guys right there. This actually just two sensors on here. You can see that little area on the right side of your screen. Those are the two sensors. And of course, we have the LED flash, no wireless charging, and of course, a very nice design sitting on the back. Let me see here. I don't want to jump too far. And of course, no, here it is. Ash is in there. Hey man, hope you're doing well, Ash. I saw that you're watching it earlier. Thank you very much. Nope, the OG charcoal for me, I do miss. Okay, so Sam's gonna go with the charcoal. Here also, just in case, Jimmy, because we got to do it doubles now. I thank you, Jimmy, for jumping over on Twitch. Appreciate that. So, man, TK, can I get anywhere near? I can't get anywhere near that in Pennsylvania. It depends on the areas that you're in, and depends where you are. I know, at least for me, in areas here, like I can tell you right now with T-Mobile, in at least here in my area with with sub-6, I mean, we don't have ultra wideband. I can tell you that I've seen, because I have obviously tested speed tests with other devices, and where it is. So I've been able to get. Hold on, let me double check this one's correct. Yeah, T-Mobile US. So this is something that's typical that I'm able to get here in my neighborhood outside when I'm not indoors. So like almost about 600 down. Not that I'm actually doing 600 down in any kind of situation. It's just nice to have. But it's also, my biggest thing is also the upload. So I would like to have something between 10 to 20 so that I can upload my files. As you can imagine, again, I upload, maybe typically 1 to 2, maybe 3 gig videos sometimes, and internet speed is a very crucial thing. I can't do 6 hours or 30-hour updates every time. Davin jumping in, TK, do you think Google should drop the smaller flagship and sell only big screen Pro models and the A series? So in essence, they kind of dropped the smaller flagships in a way, kind of thing. So the 6, although is not technically a Pro, it's a large device. The Pixel 5 and the Pixel 4a are literally the smallest devices within the last, I want to say, almost 24 months from Google. So this is the Pixel 5. This is the Pixel 5 that was released. The 4a is exactly the same size. The only difference, obviously, is the internals and, of course, capacity and the material that the device was built on. So if we just basically put them next to each other, this is just a little bit of a time. You can see here that they kind of continue the color, but there's a big difference when it comes down to the phone size, the screen size, and of course, the experience that you're getting with the phone. So I'm not saying it's a bad experience. It's just they've kind of ditched the smaller size. The Pro and the 6, the differentiating experience there is primarily how they were able to drop the price. Does it make sense to drop the 6 and go straight from a 6A to a 6 Pro? I'd be tempted to say that I think probably it hurts them if they don't have something in the middle range. The 6 series is probably what sold more for Google than the 6 Pro. The 6 Pro is the best experience. You want that really good, sharp telephoto. You want to get everything the best of the best from Google. That's going to be the one. The higher refresh rate, obviously the QHD resolution display, all of those things. That's what you want. The wireless charging, all of that. I think the 6 series is initially meant to give us an option of getting that experience, but not for so much money. That $599 to $899 price match, it was a big gap. A lot of people had to justify it, and I feel like a lot of people felt that the $599 was a better deal. That's why I feel like the Model 6 should still be around, because I feel like in the 7 we'll do the exact same situation. Sometimes when we as enthusiasts, and I'm sure everybody in the chat here is very much an enthusiast because you guys seek technical or technology related content. You are aware of more things than the general users, and you know what you're looking for. But not everybody is obviously in the same boat as we are. They may seek knowledge, they may seek some of the information that we have, but they typically have made a form based on what they can afford and what the store is carrying. So the 6 and the 6 Pro offer a range. The 6A now is bringing you that experience that you didn't know you needed, but once you see it, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. How does this make sense? $449, Google updates for 5 years. We're getting the same processor as the 6 Pro. Now, we're not getting as much RAM. This is 6 gigs of RAM, but it's still LPDDR5, so it's pretty fast. Internal storage up to 128 gigs of internal storage, and which I feel like should be the standard starting point. I don't think it's enough for me, but I think most people, like an example would be this. My son's using the Pixel 5a, and 128 is way more than enough for him. He hasn't been transitioning and transferring data and apps, and he doesn't do what I do. But for me, typically, I feel like 256 is the right sweet spot, but I feel like 128 is where you should start. So the 6A is checking all of those boxes off. It's hitting that price point that Google was able to literally almost isolate and make people follow that $599 to $899 price point, and still giving it to you for $449, and with pre-orders giving you a pair of buds, relatively making the phone for about $350 if you're just running to get a pair of buds. Now in the UK, as we saw earlier, it's going to be the Pixel Buds Pro, but in the US, the Pixel Buds A, it's no slouch. It's definitely a win, and everybody that looks at it will be like, I can't believe this exists. And I honestly feel, this is just my personal thing, and we can definitely review this in a few months. This is going to push Apple to change their story a little bit. I think the next version of the SE 20 whatever model it ends up being will not be the base of the base, because Apple had no competition. Don't get me wrong, I like the SE. I understand and I feel what the SE is doing, but it's a recycled piece. Yeah, like not recycled, but in the sense of, like, obviously they do use recyclable materials in there. I meant to say it's a recycled design from earlier generations. When it almost looks like they just took the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 7, and they just used that same shells that they still had there, and they resold it. I think this is going to help push the iPhone SE in whenever the edition that comes out next, to actually use a better body, a full display. We may lose Touch ID on there, but it is going to basically make some competition for us, because Apple can no longer be complacent, which is saying I can do the bare minimum and push out an SE and people will be happy. Now that they have a competition that's a little bit more, but gives you way more on the features, it's hard to mess with. So yeah, I didn't want to really stretch it too long there, but yeah, you get what I'm trying to say. Let me see here. I think I'm a little bit behind on some of the comments. Let's see here, Javier. I just like the fact that the phone is small, and since it has tensor, it's still a solid phone. Will it have bugs? Maybe, but most phones do. So Javier Hidalgo is actually, it's a pretty good point. One thing we can benefit on the release of the 6A is that everything that's been done to improve the experience on the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro, the growing pains, all of the things that you're referring to, those were fixed. Those were done before the 6A comes out. So the 6A is coming out on a much more tried and true experience that we didn't have with other devices. Like other companies, when they release phones in mid-rangers, this is their first. It's not something that they're basing it off of their other line, right? They don't release, the processor that they've been optimizing for on a mid-range or a lower, more of a budget device at the same time. So this is very big. Apple did it, and they did a decent job with that. And I think that, again, the SE is not a bad device. I feel like it's limited at the entry level. The price that they originally announced, and they talked about it all throughout their whole experience, had 64 gigs of internal storage for a phone that shoots 4K. I'm like, how in that Like, how does that make sense for anybody to buy that phone? And all you're doing is creating a stepping stone, meaning you go in there to buy that device because you're thinking it's, at the lower end, I think it's like around the 420 or $429. And then you realize that that's not enough storage and you have to jump up. And by then you're in the 500s. You're close enough to the 500s if you try to go to even higher storage. So you have to kind of keep that in mind in the tactic of sales. Here, you're not getting gimmicks. You're getting the full-on experience exactly as it's intended. 128. You get color options. You get free buds with them, and you're getting full service collaboration. I mean, we're talking about magic erasers built into this. Camera tricks that we've seen on other devices. We know that Google thrives at the 12 megapixel camera sensors, and they've done it for years. This is not something that we should expect to do that whole stumbling to try to get into it. The 6 and 6 Pro went through the growing pains. The 6A is benefiting all of that. So that's the biggest thing. I love that. So let's see here a little bit more. Oops, sorry. Hey, Matt's in there. Hope you're doing well. Purposely Gaming is kicking it with us. Michael Corrigan said, we had a few power outages with live where I live last year, and even going for like 2 days without internet drove me absolutely insane. Yeah, no, I can absolutely say I have a very I want to say I have a very healthy addiction to this, but it is a need. It's something that I need on a daily basis. And it's truly, I'll say this, nothing makes your flagship $1,200, $800, $900 phone feel like a turtle and non-functional like a bad internet connection. Not because the phone doesn't function, but obviously we rely a lot on not international, but connected services and things that we use all the time, be it social media, be it email, be it text messages. All of those things are internet related. So it's a big thing when your computing power device in the pocket just doesn't have that fast of an internet. So for me, again, I enjoyed a lot of it offline. In the towns that I was able to visit, I had some internet connection, but it was still not the fastest. T-Mobile, for some reason, just does not have good reception in Juneau, and they cap you because they consider me roaming. It's roaming internet connection. And once I hit about a gig worth of data, it started giving me text messages saying that I've reached my limit and it will reduce my speeds. So again, very slow, not functional, but it was what it was, and we were able to survive it. Jarring how dependent I am to the internet. Michael, I'm with you. No. Seriously, we do things so much all the way. Okay, so here, Finn Jacobs asking have you had any chance to try out stock Wear OS 3 yet? So not yet. We're waiting on, we already know, we saw the announcement. Obviously, we saw Qualcomm pushing out the new W5 chipset that they're talking about. And it's basically going to be where both OPPO and TechWatch, or Mob Void, the maker of the watch, are going to be releasing watches with that new SoC. And they use a more of a stock experience as opposed to what we saw on, let's say, the Galaxy Watch 4 that we saw last year. We're tipped to see a new version of the Galaxy Watch. It's going to be the Galaxy Watch 5, I think, in another week or so on the 10th of August for the Samsung Unpacked. But the biggest thing that we're seeing there is that's going to be an availability of Wear OS 3.0 for more devices than just Samsung. Google announced a version of Android for wearables, but they stuck it with Samsung for the last longest duration, making it seem like if you wanted to get the best of what Google had to offer, you had to go with Samsung. I saw an ad yesterday. I forgot which one. And actually, it was a Samsung ad. It was an ad showcasing the S22 Ultra and showcasing the Galaxy Watch 4. And literally, it was showcasing all of Google services and advertising it as, to get the best of Google services, you need to be on a Samsung. And that was such a weird thing because that's not true. To get the best Google services, you need to be on a Pixel. But Google isn't counteracting that. Google isn't going out and making an ad saying, Pixel is the best on the 6A. They did that with the 6 and 6 Pro, and I want to see that for the 6A. So I'm hoping by next week, maybe there's some campaigns that kick off on Monday that we weren't aware of, but it's something to keep in mind. So I know, long story version, extremely, extremely long. I didn't mean to stretch that out for you, Finn. That's an amazing deal. I could probably sell my Pixel Buds. I could probably sell my Pixel Buds Pro if I don't need them for at least 175. All of a sudden, you're paying 225 for a Pixel Buds. No, It's an absolute crazy deal. It's an absolute crazy deal. Forget the pros. With the A, that's amazing deal. And again, for us, it's still about $100 worth of buds. If you want to basically buy them, let's say even resell them, it's still 75 bucks off of it. They're doing a trade-in value here of up to $300. I mean, seriously, you can get this phone for pennies. If you're upgrading from an earlier Pixel, you can get 300 bucks roughly. And of course, still pay like 150 bucks on a brand new Pixel 6a. It's really crazy. Very, very nice. Um, cut it with the knife here. No, I know. It's crazy. Michael Bonnet is saying it's 35C here in Southeast France. Bonjour, bonsoir, mon ami. Michael, it's crazy. Yes, the heat wave is going crazy. So 35C is roughly about 80, almost 90 something for us here. We hit 40C roughly about a couple of days ago when we were running about a 107, 108. So we get pretty hot, and that's what we were talking about. It's crazy. The heat wave is going around. If I'm not mistaken, I remember Paris. It was more prepared for temperatures, as most of their buildings are better set up than UK. But it's still crazy to be able to deal with that type of temperatures anywhere, because it makes it just being outdoors to be just uncomfortable. And if you don't have the right cooling system, it makes it even harder to be indoors. For me, in this studio that I have here, as you could probably see with Roger and Life of Tech on the Roger Bot show, it's hard. All of these things generate heat, these devices, these displays, these lights. As much as I'd love to say that they're, power energy efficient, they still produce a lot of heat when they're on and being used. So it's something to keep in mind. Yeah. But I feel for you. Thank you for sharing with that, Mikhail. We got the deal here for the olive buds. I like the olive buds. There's nice. Current humidity in St. Louis is 39%, usually 50. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh my God. Oh my God, that is high. Okay, yeah, we don't come close to. So his 107, which is roughly 40C, feels like 44 to 45C because of the humidity level. It just encompasses everything. So I feel for you, Sam. I really hope you're able to get your stuff done early in the day. Joe just kicking it with us here, Purposely Pixel, one of our friends hanging out with us. Thank you very much for coming in. Oh my God, crazy stuff. I'm thinking about getting the Pixel Buds Pro anyways. It's kind of a non-brainer for me to get that for that. I think the Pixel Buds Pro are going to be absolutely something that we need to try. We need to cover that content. I mean, obviously, I would have loved it to be part of the Pixel 6a experience, but typically we don't get the buds with the A series. We've had that happen in the past. When they released the Pixel Buds A series, we got them later. So hopefully we'll see how that kind of comes in. Keep in mind, the Pixel 7, 7 Pro, and the Pixel Watch are slated to come out later in the year, somewhere September, October timeframe, roughly when we normally see them. But yeah, definitely very, very nice. It's not the Pixel Bud Pro in the UK, it's the Buds A. Okay, so I may have misread it, but if it is the Pixel Buds A, still very decent, very good deal. Very good deal. Ash is correcting in there. Depending on the site, that's the other thing, Ash. I don't know, at least if the UK is being done with multiples. In the US, you're able to pick up from Amazon, Best Buy. I want to say you're also able to pick it up from B&H, but B&H only had the buds. And of course, you're also able to pick it up from Google. And depending on the site that you're going with, it may be a slightly different deal. Sony is notoriously known for doing different deals based on the site that you're connecting. Okay, so Nining Raj is actually coming back saying, how much time does it take to fully charge the Pixel 6a? While charging, you notice overheating. So no overheating. It does get warm. And as long as you're using a PD charger or power delivery charger, you're able to charge it pretty quickly. I haven't gone through a full cycle yet. I charged it up last night and it was charged at 100%. And let me double check now. And oh, I take that back. You know what? I charged it back up this morning, and I think I was able to get it up pretty quickly. It doesn't say, but it's essentially an 18-watt power delivery charging speed. Let me double check real quick for you here. Processor, storage, sensor, SIMs. I want to make sure to get the information straight from Google, because we want to make sure that there's no question on the issue here. So battery capacity, I think if I'm not mistaken, is about a 46 to 4800 milliampere. Camera, rear, security. It's interesting. Oh, here it is. Battery and charging. So Google is rating it to be basically, so it's a minimum 43. So it's about a 4400 milliampere battery. It does have fast charging. And basically over 24-hour battery life, but they're not explaining it. I'll say this. It was charging fast when we were on the channel doing the live stream yesterday, and went up from 31 to 36 in about 5 minutes. And that, obviously, it's just leveraging the fact that it's slightly smaller than the Pixel 6 Pro, but still pretty decent speed on that charging. But I will make sure to cover that in the video for you, of course. But no overheating at all. It does get warm, but that's typical. Well, take that back. It was also getting warm because I was downloading a lot of stuff on it yesterday. So there's this setup process that also warms it up a little bit. Let me see here. Ash said, I pre-ordered the Pixel Buds Pro through, though I think it's a good deal. I think it's a really good deal, though. The Pixel Buds Pro are going to be an amazing deal. You guys getting the Pixel Buds Pro with a 6A in the US? Okay, I think I may have caused the confusion. There was a comment earlier saying that the UK was getting that. In the US, we're getting the Pixel Buds A series. These guys, we've seen them, we've covered them. They're beautiful, they're nice, and super strong magnet. If I'm not, yep, super strong magnet, still there. That's how you know it's the A series, not the first generation. But yeah, no, the Pixel Buds A, it's about $100 worth here. They're coming in for free. Joe is saying, yes, the magic eraser is on there, and it's really nice to have that feature. Not to say that you wouldn't appreciate it, but I've tried other services. Like I've tried the ones that Samsung has on their series S22 series, even the Note 20 series, the Note 20 Ultra series. It's not as good. The algorithm, I still feel like Google does a much better job with this, and they've done enough testing on it, and it gets better and better. So it's definitely very, very nice. We have the on-device processing of our voice recognition, typing, commands, Google Assistant. All of those things are on device, so you're enjoying them much, much better. I mean, okay. Same in the UK. Yeah. Okay. Chemi, I'm okay testing new gadgets, the Lenovo Yoga 13 with a mini keyboard, and awaiting my Soundcore Liberty 3 Pros. They're really good. You're going to enjoy the Liberty 3 Pros way more than you're going to think about them. Once you put them in your ear and you update them, make sure you're running on the latest version of the firmware. It's going to be crazy. Michael is coming back with, hey TK, what are your thoughts about the Nova launcher being sold through a shady data company? So I'll be very frank. I've been using Nova Prime for years. Like this has been a massive return on investment for me. It saddened me to see that basically, obviously, there's some concerns on the company that's providing the sales for it and so on. But at the end of the day, my concern would be this: if the existing core, the people that are developing, the people that are actually making the development and updating it, because we probably saw you probably even saw it on Twitter. They announced the brand new Nova 8 that's going to be coming out. So they're talking about bringing in more material design in there. It's a little bit hard. I hope that things kind of work themselves out. I'm not able to comment on the company as I don't know all of the information or ins and outs about it yet. But I would probably say I hope that at least the core experience that we got in the past stays the same, the updates stay the same, and that the security checkpoints and everything that we have through the Google Play system, since that's where you have to buy it from, still protect us as a consumer and as a user. As far as the actual company itself, I don't have a way, unfortunately, of commenting on them yet because I don't know all of the story yet. But I hope that kind of gives you the answer what I'm referring to there. Freddie Fulcrum. Sorry, hopefully I'm saying that good. The buds are the Pixel Buds A series, not the Pros. $99 value. That's what I'm getting with my 6A pre-order. Absolutely, same thing. And I think that's a great deal. Like I said, seriously, if you've used the original buds and you've gone to the Pixel Buds A series, you would notice obviously there's a difference in performance. There's no gestures and so on, but you're getting a really good connectivity experience, much better than the first gen. You're also getting pretty decent audio, and of course, configuration straight into the Bluetooth tab on your device. So one of the things I love about first-party accessories on any company that makes devices is that when you want to basically customize them, let's give it a second to connect. I want to give it a second and here we are. Pixel, yeah, I know. So Pixel Buds A series, you can actually see the battery connectivity here. So I'll go ahead and connect it there, and we're gonna go back and I'm gonna click there. Okay, so you're able to actually customize your device and experience entirely directly from the Bluetooth settings. You don't need an app, you don't need any updates or anything like that, and you're able to just do all of that natively. So the integration is going to be much better. The Pixel Buds Pro will definitely do way better. But again, there's a price difference of about $100 there if you want to pick them up. It's free if you're pre-ordering it with the 6A on the 6A series. On the A series, the Buds. But again, the Pros are going to definitely make it worth it, and we'll see how that goes within a week or so. Just finished. Honestly, Pixel still probably is the best value given the fact that it has it's a bigger sensor. It does have the main sensor is the same as the Pixel 6 Pro. Now it is 90 frames per second, and it is obviously it's a different experience. Obviously, the 6 and the 6 Pro are not really trying to be budget phones. They're not trying to be a budget version of what their other devices are. The 6 is really intended to be a slightly tailored down version of the 6 Pro, providing us a much more affordable price point at around $600. And I think that's the biggest takeaway that we're looking at. I mean, there's a difference of about $150 between, if we look between the 6A and the 6 and the 6. And you are obviously going to get more, but at the end of the day, that could be an extra $5 to $10 on a monthly plan if you're doing it. It also could be a lot more money for people that are not wanting to go that high. I think the 6A will still give you the best, I would say the best savings and the best bang for the buck experience. It's going to take that away from the 6. I think the 6 sales may hurt a little bit, but you have to keep in mind the 6 has been out since October of last year. This is literally at the end of the curve of popularity for a device for Google, at least how they're looking at it. They're going to start ramping up with the 7. The 7 will definitely be a much more better experience for somebody looking for a current gen version of what Tensor is going to be, what Google's vision is with the Pixel devices. So yeah, in a way, it's kind of like eating into it, but it's that second wave now. The 6A will carry us through the middle of next year for people looking for a budget version of the device. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see it on sale even closer to Christmas or Thanksgiving for even better pricing. So keep an eye out. This is not definitely going to be the end all be all, but it's a good deal nonetheless with $100 free buds with it. But I'm with you. Yeah, 90 frames per second refresh rate on the 6 definitely is a compelling thing. But at the end of the day, you also have to kind of factor in the budget. Does that give that the bigger sensor? Does it and of course with the 90 frames per second, is that worth $150 more for you to make that jump, or maybe wait for the Pixel 6 to go on sale again? So that would be a different conversation. I think we talked about it with Juan a couple of days ago, where we said that if the price point for the 6 drops to around $550, it becomes a little bit more of a compelling story. Down to 500, and even I would definitely just say go 6. Don't get me wrong. The 6A is going to be great, but if it's a $50 difference, you're getting this much, absolutely. $150, that's a pretty big jump, especially for a device that's $450. It's not a simple jump. It's a much bigger jump of what we're talking about here. Literally about 33% price jump. Ash, someone said we got the Pixel Buds Pro for free with the it's the Pixel Play. Okay, I think I got it. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you there. Finn jumping back in here. Luckily, we had a day of rain for those temperatures to drop down. I opened up the window and all, and we're basically putting the ceiling fan in reverse to basically circulate the air. So it pulls the cool air down and keeps the room nice inside. Yeah, I know. Fans have been tremendously helpful also for us here in the US as well. Just finished too. Yeah, the Pixel 6 being launched for $599 was a really basically eye-opening price, and wasn't. Sorry, I'm not showing the comment here. So this is Michael jumping back in with. I wasn't even in the market for a new phone when I saw the pricing, and I decided to get one. It is surprising. Like I said, it was the Pixel 5 did that for us last 2 years. Last year. I'm sorry, the year before, because that was 2020. The Pixel 5 came in with a mid-range processor, a much more affordable price plan, and they saw how much the sales went up. They saw the Pixel 4a come out and sell out before it was even available in the store for pre-orders. They saw that basically when they went on the year after that and went with the 6 and the 6 Pro, it was a strategic price point. $899 is a mental factor by comparison when you're looking at the flagship from Google that is trying to compete with some of the other flagships that are $1,000+ more from other companies. Your mind is going to basically automatically jump in. It's like, oh my God, this is crazy. And the fact that it doesn't say 900 because it's really a $900 phone is that mental thing. The $599 is really a $600. So there's a $300 difference, but it's compelling to try to see what Google can do at that price point. And they delivered. A little bit of hiccups at the beginning. I don't disagree with that. And you can obviously check all the other video content that we've talked. Yes, there were some growing pains. The fingerprint sensor was not as fast, and there's a whole bunch of things. But we are in a much better position now, and the 6A is reaping all of those things that we learned from them. So that's one of the biggest things I'm really enjoying there. Hey, Ibrahim, good morning, Sabah. I hope you're doing well. Thank you very much for jumping in. I'm glad to see you hanging out with us. Good morning, good afternoon. Good morning, everybody hanging out with us. Everybody kicking it with us here. Let me get a quick sip. TK, have you seen? So I've seen some of the leaks on the Pixel on the Galaxy Watch 5, and I mean, so the limitation of what I see here is this. Look, I don't have anything against. I mean, the fact that Google is where OS is the primary running OS, on most watches now, since technically, obviously, Tizen's no longer there. The design obviously is interesting. It's always interesting to see what Samsung does as far as their design. I've been using their devices. My most favorite design of all of their watches to this date is on the Gear S3 Explorer Edition in the US. It had the digital crown that moved, a physical crown, not the whole button moving on the side. I think the design is pretty good. I always typically go with the classic edition anyways. I don't go with the standard new I would call them more streamlined, more straight looking, basically, watches. I like the one to look more like a regular watch, has a little bit more of a typical standard watch look. It's definitely going to be interesting. For the most part, I feel like it's a regurgitation of what we saw last year. It's basically Wear OS 3.0, maybe updated a little bit with a few tricks, but it is a big push of what Samsung's trying to put. They're trying to push in and give us the best that they can offer on top of Wear OS and making it look nothing like Wear OS. So overall, I'm not very excited overall on the Watch 5. I probably will still pick up maybe a base model of the classic edition, but I feel like overall I think it should still do pretty well. Samsung is pushing it very hard to make sure that people can see and know that Google runs best on Samsung hardware. I beg to differ, but we'll have to see how those things kind of land. The event should be coming up very soon, where it looks like basically it's going to be obviously the foldables, the Z Fold 4, the Z Flip 4, and of course the watch that's going to be coming out as well. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, Michael's jumping back with, yes, it's exactly what happened here. Same for me. So $599 made me want the Pixel 6 Pro price stuck with me. Exactly. It's that mental thing. It's weird, but it's been done it's been done so much here. In the US, we love putting in that 99. That 99 shows up on everything. It's just crazy the way we have it. I think the SE next gen will be an iPhone 13 mini design. That would be a much better design, going in with a full screen display, notch or no notch, it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, I think we've kind of we've used the iPhone 6 and 7 design. Yeah, we're pretty much used it to death at this point. There's really no reason to bring it back. But yeah, I'm with you. I like the fact that Touch ID is very nice and very fast, but being the only device that has Touch ID now in a span of devices that Apple puts out that doesn't have it, makes it just very almost feel like it just sticks out. And if you just want it for the Touch ID, you wouldn't be happy with the screen display. So you're always going to end up having to go to a 13 mini, or not mini, but the 13 or the higher sizes that we have here. Let me double check here. Michael jumping back with, I wish I wish that there were case on how they are, but I don't think that they're making that chassis anymore. Probably more likely that it'll be 12 or 13. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why we were going there. That's great, Ash. The Pixel 6 Buds A series. Not the, okay, I must have misread. I feel like I need to go back and find that comment, because if I misread it that badly, I do apologize for causing that confusion. I will say it one more time. It is both in the US and in the UK. It is the Pixel Buds A series that are going to be giving out for free with the Pixel 6a pre-order, not the Pixel Buds Pro. But I do apologize. I think like I said, I repeated it enough times, and it didn't sound right at the beginning. But I'm not in that market, so I always have to kind of rely on what I see. And if I misread it, I do apologize for that. I think the bugs were radically overstated already. MKBHD basically stated that narrative and while there were some bugs, it was a huge exaggeration. So I will say this. I can't speak on the unit that Marquez has, because I don't know. The software update that we have on our device right now is April. I don't have the latest security patch update of June or even July. So maybe, don't take my word. And again, this is just pure speculation on my side. There is a possibility that some of the things that he has or he experienced could be based on the fact that the software still will get better as we get the final version for it. He's reviewing a pre-production piece of hardware. He is not reviewing a final version, because the final version comes out next week. So this is what we typically get. We get earlier access to hardware, and sometimes the software isn't up to date to the latest version. They try the best that they can pre-production. So my hope is, if we see something from Marquez in the future, if there is a follow-up, although he typically doesn't follow up on his devices, we'll see maybe something from him on social media. My hope is that he's able to follow up with it if things do get better with him on the 6A. But to make a judgment call on a device that is pre-sale device, and just blatant. It's hard for me to explain. Again, I don't know where he's coming from, but I look at it as when I'm judging a device. I know more than likely by the time this thing officially launches next week, on the 27th, 28th, we are going to get the software update that is intended for this version to be public. And with that being said, that's what you should be judging. That's the one that you should be making your decision on. And I'm hoping to be able to contribute conversations around that. That's going to be the biggest part for me, at least. How do the experiences change? We have 6 gigs of RAM and a tensor processor. There should be no reason why we have any concerns. It's not intended to be a 6 or a 6 Pro. It's not intended to be a flagship. Once you take that out of the equation, judge it for what the price point is and what it offers. And that's what you should be recommending, not what it's not. Because at the end of the day, we don't buy things because they're not something else, or we don't buy them because they're not something else, because then you'd buy that other thing. To me, that's just a judgment. And we need to kind of step away from SEO management of, how we talk about tech, because at the end of the day, yeah, that may get you the view, but you're not helping the conversation. And again, I want to be specific. I'm not talking about him. I'm not talking about MKBHD by specifically. I'm talking about in general as a creator in the space. We need to be able to speak about the tech and allow it to speak for itself. And does it meet the expectations of what the company that's selling it set for it, and how does it do for that? We did it with the 6 and the 6 Pro. We lived through it. We all remember the December update that was pulled, and a whole bunch of people had problems with it, but we learned from it. We need to be able to move and hopefully get better from it there. Ash, I know, but that's why I just said it above. I was explaining because it seems like people were getting confused. Yeah, I know. It was something that I could not. If I had a way to back in time into that, I'll go in there and say, stop saying Pro. He spent more time complaining about the Pixel 6 bugs than Samsung giving 5 generations of S series phones dislikes from Geekbench. Yeah, I know. The listed that was a fun time seeing Samsung getting that. Not fun in a it's a comedic way. Obviously, it's not nice to see anybody, but at the end of the day, it's not the right thing to do. Forcing numbers to make them look just the way they want them to be is not thing. And don't get me wrong, I'll be very frank. Yes, Samsung's not the only company that does that. We know we've seen OnePlus in the past. We've seen other companies, jerry rig their numbers. But we're not trying to basically say that it's just blatantly not the right numbers. And overall, Samsung still to this day still doesn't tell the users that the device isn't running at full potential. You're not getting the full potential of the 888 or the 8 Gen 1. You need to go into performance mode and turn on enhanced processing for that to happen. The display out of the box is set to 1080p, 120, 60 frames per second, and you need to change that to get the QHD to 120. Those are things that you have to be aware of, and some people don't know, and they live with a certain expectation on the device that just doesn't exist because they were just not told. We don't typically. I try the best that I can to share that information, but when we say it's 120 frames per second, you have to turn that on. So that's typical of what we see and what we've seen in the past. Okay, here. One thing that, Ibrahim or ER9080 saying, one thing not mentioned is the Pixel 6a is still on the April 2022 software update in the first week of August. Of August, then we'll receive the nice software update by month end, and of course, Android 13 will arrive shortly after. Absolutely, yes. This is a big thing. Security patch updates to the device, and of course can improve generational upgrades. Because since April we have May, June, and July, and if they do wait till and launch it with August, I'd be tempted to say, Ibrahim, that they would push or they turn on the server side updates for the Pixel 6a to July month end or to July security patch update by the time it hits public, because they want it to be running the latest software by the time consumers get it, and consumers can get it around the 28th. So that's going to be the timeline. I don't think they'll wait till the first week of August to give us August security patch update. I think they'll want to do a little bit faster on the 6A, and because there's not so many of them sold or on the market yet, the update shouldn't be hindering their service as much. So it should be much easier for them to roll out, considering where we are. And then, of course, by the time everything else comes up, they can just roll it into a cumulative update for them to put it in there. You can use an OTG or an SSD to increase the storage too. That's a good question. I don't think we, hold on. The box does, hold on. Okay. So I have this nice little drive, and I've been using for quite some time. This one is actually called the Minova drives. It's a drive that runs basically a micro SD card. Let me see if I can get this into. So of course, this is going to be the time where we don't get it into and right there. So it's a small micro SD card. You put that in there on the top, and then of course reverses that to be a USB-C. So I didn't have a chance to plug that in and see if we are able to. And of course, you're expanding storage with micro SD with USB-C. It's not something you can always do. Let's go ahead and give it a second, see if it's going to recognize. I'm not seeing. Let's double check. We'll try one more time. Actually, let's test it out real quick with the Pixel 6 because if I'm not mistaken, I don't think I've typically used it here. Okay, no, I'm not. I don't think it actually USB OTG. It's something that typically Google does not provide us. We know we don't have HDMI out. Obviously, over USB-C, that's also something that we don't get. Android desktop mode cannot be demonstrated on the Pixel 6 series, unfortunately. Still keep okay. I still keep a full backup via Swift backup with root around 1,200 images on the flash drive. Yeah, so it's different when you're able to run it in with root. I think that's the other thing that you want to keep in mind. But yeah, you can definitely back up your content off. I heavily use Google Photos. I subscribe to their service to be able to get higher storage capacity in original format. So I don't have as much of an issue for me. 128 wouldn't have that much of a problem. I can delete content off my phone. I think it's for the general user. Also, running with a thumb drive is also not something that is very functional. I'm waiting for more cases. I want to see case manufacturers start utilizing it for devices that support it to use SD card support function, because it could be so much better to do that and add slightly thicker casing on the back, but give us access to an SD card, run the cables through the system so you're able to still plug it in and charge the phone at the full potential, but then give us access to expandable storage on a device that typically may not have it. It's not uncalled for. OnePlus supports it. Other devices do, but they typically have to have that toggle turned on. But this one, it wasn't registering at all for me. Let me double check here. I don't think I do have USB OTG. Apologize there. I'm going to actually do a quick search real quick here. So USB. We have tethering, Bluetooth, Ethernet, USB preferences. Let's jump in here. So I'm going to plug it back one more time. And it should, in theory, recognize it. Okay, I take that back. Issue with the drive. Okay, that's what it was. Okay, I take that back. So I think here, I need to format it. Okay, it does work. I take that back. I do apologize. It looks like it's something to do with the drive itself. I haven't used it for some time and I don't want to format it. I do definitely want to check it on my PC first because I think it does still work on my PC. So I take that back. Greg, it does show up in there, and it does show up. Actually, I just need to fix my drive. Sorry for a technical issue. Barry, you and I both. I had like a 5-minute delay in starting the show this morning because of a whole bunch of different things, and the fact that I had to, I put back my laptop in the setup here, but I missed the cable, so it wasn't running everything else. And apparently, I was running on Wi-Fi for the last couple of days and didn't realize my Ethernet connection wasn't connected. It's a whole bunch of things, but I'm glad we're back. I'm glad things are working, and welcome to the show. Hope you're having a great birthday weekend, everybody. If you have a chance, please wish Barry Johnson a happy birthday, and hope he's having a good time with the fam. Of course, kicking in. Thank you for joining us on the show, man. A couple of days ago, that was really nice. It was a nice surprise, and it was very nice to see each other face to face. We've communicated in the past. First time we saw each other there, of course. TK, Greg, Joe, everybody, thank you very much. Jimmy Fire Dragon kicking it with us. Barry, I like it. Look at that. Oh man, thank you. Yeah, for sure. Barry Johnson kicking it with everybody. I love it. No problem. I've looked up on the Amazon UK and Google store on the 21st. Both offer the Buds series as a pre-order gift. Amazing, kick-ass. Thank you, Ash, for confirming that as well. He's about 10 minutes behind on comments. Yes. Hold on. So the time right now is 11:07. The comments I'm on. Oh man, I'm bad. Okay. Let's do a little bit of speed reading and see if we can actually get the conversation going, because I'm realizing I'm like really behind. So let's here. Okay, so purpose of gaming. We're going here. 500, 600 on 5G. Absolutely, man. Crazy. Really, really nice. And over, of course, 1 gigabit on Wi-Fi. It makes absolutely. Finn jumping in here. Hey, Jermaine. Check it out. Tech by Jermaine. Appreciate it. The concept. Well, I guess Tech by Jermaine now. Previously concept creator Jermaine, our bud. Thank you for jumping in, man. Thank you for seeing here. Oh my God. Okay, so a whole bunch of comments. I'm up to almost 11 o'clock. I'm trying to come back into. I honestly have been interested in Samsung for a long time. Last real good Samsung was the S10 series. It has, yeah. I mean, when you look at them from basically the pinnacle of every year, you kept getting better, 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 better. The S10 series kind of culminized that, right? We had all of the features that Samsung basically were willing to give us as hardware features on a device. Headphone jack, MST, you had the display, we didn't have the refresh rate yet, but we had the resolution on there. But then ever since then, the S20 kind of went down a little bit. We lost functionality out of it. It did get better by a bigger battery and, of course, getting faster charging at 45 watts. The 21 dipped us down and we lost some functionalities. The 22 brought something back, but it still didn't bring everything in exactly the same situation. And they gave us a Note instead of an S. So that conversation gets a little bit confusing. And at the end of the day, the reason why I mentioned that the video that I saw, the ad that I saw, it's because it a little bit reminded me of LG, because LG did used to do videos where they showcased Google services on their devices, and it was basically how you kind of felt it. But it's weird that Samsung would say Google runs best on a Pixel, on a Samsung device. And I'm like, does it really though? I mean, we still have Bixby in there somewhere. I mean, we finally got the Google Assistant on Wear OS devices after people wanted it. At launch, it didn't. It still ran Bixby. So yeah, it's tough. Google runs great on many devices. I think it runs best on a Pixel, and it runs great on other devices, but you can't really take the crown away from the company that makes the software. That would be my thing. So when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that's going to be a tough one. Okay, Jermaine, the S10e was one of my favorite phones. Absolutely, yes. No, definitely. And Juan still has one. That's the best thing too. You got Dex. You got a good. You got a decent experience overall. Battery life was actually pretty decent for the size. It was a smaller device. If you love that size and format, and it still gave you DeX access, which is something that's very limited in many devices. The A series don't even get them, and those have bigger displays and sometimes better camera sensors than what we got with the S10e. So for sure. Let me see here. I might still buy an S10e. So Michael Corrigan saying is I might still buy an S10e sometime. Sometime just to grab one last good small Android phones. Every time I look at my my original Pixel, the first not Pixel, the first Nexus, the Google Nexus phone, and how tiny that thing is, and in my mind at the time, that thing was like a massive phone. I don't understand how that made sense. I wasn't a kid at the time, but it was still crazy. But yeah, I'm with you. Those are one of those things you got to have in the collection. Buy it used, buy it as long as it's in good aesthetical shape. It's definitely one of those that keep them running. I can't use the original Nexus. The servers for I think is Eclair. The version of Android that's still running on it is Eclair, like Android 1 or Android 2. Don't have a login server, so you can't even log into your Google account on them anymore. Definitely. Oh, the Zenfone 9. So I've been looking for the Zenfone 9. So Michael jumping in, although I definitely have a crush on the Zenfone 9. The Zenfone 8 last year also did really, really well, and the 9 definitely can do. It should be able to do a much better job. So I definitely want to check that out. The ROG Phone 6 dropped not that long ago. A lot of people covered those videos. I wasn't able to get in on that. So I'm hoping at some point we'll be able to see if we can get something going on for that for you guys as well. Oh my God, my small form factor 3.5 million on the P30. Oh man, the P30 is nice. The P30 is nice. The P40 is even nice. But yeah, we lost the headphone jack on that one. Oh man, good. Okay. Oh, I have a SanDisk flash. Ash is jumping in with this one. I have a SanDisk flash, Kingston flash drive for my Pixel that recognizes them both immediately. Yeah, and I think that my problem wasn't the actual drive. It wasn't actually the fact that Pixels don't recognize them. I think there's something, like when you plug in a memory card, you plug in a card, and it doesn't recognize it right away, and it says there's something with it. I think that's what's going on, and that was why it didn't show up. It does show up afterwards, though, when I jump into the USB tethering section or the USB function. It recognizes it, but it's asking me to format it, and I don't want to format it yet. It's because I want to make sure that if it doesn't work with the PC, then obviously I'll just format it and just start putting stuff on it. But it's a little drive that I like to use when I need to transfer content between devices that I don't have like nearby share or Wi-Fi connectivity to be able to transfer that stuff from it. But thank you for putting that in there. Yeah, definitely, Ash. Happy birthday, Barry. Hope you're doing well. Wishing happy birthday because I'm jealous. I like this. Jermaine says, nah, not wishing him a happy birthday.
not wishing him a happy birthday because I'm jealous of him. Dude, you and me both, man. I was in that chat on Thursday, and I'm sitting with two guys that both are rocking the 12S Ultra, and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty. It looks nice. I just yeah. So yeah, I want to set some time up with Juan. Hopefully we can go check out some cars and stuff like that. I want to play a little bit with it, and just see kind of like what it is all about. Obviously, if you haven't seen it yet, Barry dropped his first video on it already on the channel. So if you want to check that out, Barry has that in there. And I know Juan's working on some editorials as well. And I'll wait for Juan obviously to finish up. And then, I'm not in a hurry to try to be, there's no hurry on this. The 12S Ultra has been out for some time. And I'm still to this day asking Xiaomi, please send one my way. But yeah, it's a China only device, and the only way to get our hands on it is to import it at this point. So that's going to be where we get it in there. Oh my God. Okay, I'm trying to catch up right now. We are at 11:14, and I'm about 4 minutes behind on the comments. So not too bad. Not too bad at all. We're getting in there. I can use, yes. So Greg is confirming I definitely use the OTG on the Pixel 6 Pro, and it does. Yeah, you're right. It works perfectly fine. The Zenfone 9 apparently is priced around $650. That's actually not a bad deal. So roughly what the Pixel 6 is. Sorry, the Pixel 6 is at about $599. And I'm sure hopefully we'll be able to see some good deals on them with the upcoming holidays in the near future. Okay, so I'm good. I'm on top of everything with the comments. Just take it away from Juan, distract him. Okay, let's be straight with this. The last time Juan and I had a problem giving Juan anything back was with this guy. So this is the X70 Pro Plus. I finally now have the X70 Pro Plus it stays here. This is not going anywhere. It's made its rounds. It's gone through a whole bunch of different things. And just for reference, Greg, if you're still in the chat with us, I took your advice and I did order the screen protector for the Pixel 6 Pro. It comes in today, so I'm going to try to install that. And if that works, dude, you just saved my butt with getting a screen protector that actually runs and doesn't actually cause me to just go crazy because of all the other glass protectors on the market. I would have preferred glass, but without that option available, something there to protect the display is better than nothing. I got a good case. I just need a good screen protector. So thank you for that recommendation. And I don't know like why I didn't think about it. Like what other 6.7-inch display devices that use a center punch hole camera in there do we have? And the 6 Pro is there. And I have a glass protector for the 6 Pro, but the curves on the edge for the X70 Pro Plus and the 6 Pro were different. So the glass wouldn't work, but a standard TPU glass protector would definitely work. I liked it. We were all surprised. He jumped in the chat yesterday, and we found out about it. So that's definitely the best way to look at it. But yeah, so the 6A is. For the best way to describe the 6A is, this is going to be the one of more popular devices for this holiday Christmas basically, and even for people buying devices on that are wanting to be a little bit more budget friendly, more budget conscious devices on the market. It is crazy what Google could do with a 12 megapixel sensor, both on the ultra wide and on the standard. I think this is the biggest thing you have to kind of leverage from there. The processing power is going to be there. The security patch update and the fixes are going to be there. Whatever impressions we've seen to this point are early impressions, and I think they need to be labeled as early impressions because what we have at the Pixel 6 and the 6 Pro now in July of 2022 is not what we saw at the beginning. And all of the comments that were made back then by the big YouTubers, by the big channels that have like millions of subscribers, don't get that recall back. They don't come back and put a video saying, oh, by the way, I know I said this didn't work and this whatever, but now it does. We don't see that. But that's the video that's left online. So it is our job, the creators of Teampixel and other creators people that actually pick up the device and use it, to share the experience after being lived in with it. And I think that's the biggest thing that we want to be able to put that out there. And I hope that becomes the conversation, what the Teampixel is able to put in there. And I can share my opinions, of course, as well as Juan will be able to do his own opinions as well. My focus on this device is going to be a little bit different than my typical phones. I want to make sure that I explain what this device is and what it can do, and does it make sense, or what does it make sense to upgrade from for it. Do you benefit a lot going in from a 5A, or do you need to go into something like a 5 or a 4A to be able to make sense out of it? And should you buy this over, other mid-rangers in the market right now? Like, again, the 6A is a powerful device. It's launching in the same market as the Nothing phone, so there's going to be some conversations there. Yes, the Nothing phone has LEDs and a whole bunch of things, but you kind of have to also kind of curb that initial honeymoon phase that you get over the LEDs pretty quickly. And how does the living experience actually be coming there? The Reno 8 Pro is a very good, very powerful device that's going to be available in many markets. The model that I used was the UK edition version of the phone. Although I do realize that it was launched in India. There is going to be an international model. There's going to be more coverage coming up soon in the future from OPPO. I did drop a video in both Arabic and in English. I miss Sam's. I miss Sam. Oh my God. The two of you guys always made tons of fun. It was fun watching you guys, and it was fun being on the show with you guys, of course. It is about an hour and 15 minutes. This is typically the time where we get into our TKception. If you're not familiar with it, we haven't had it for a few weeks. We're going to bring it back in full force. And you'll start seeing some hashtag TKBay or hashtag TKception in the comments. So please, if you haven't been, or if you're new to the channel, you haven't watched the show before, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe so you're always notified whenever we have new shows. And I will say this, I do apologize for the schedule being crazy for the last couple of weeks. And I hope to be able to go back to more of a consistent thing. I will say that there, I can share this with you guys. There's a few trips coming up in the near future. And obviously when I mean few, I mean more than two. And the experience and things that are going on, I'm going to try the best that I can to be able to bring you guys the best coverage and everything that I'm able to give you guys as best as I can. If we do end up moving the Android Bay, a day here and there, 1 week or another, don't worry. I'll make sure that the show will still be there. So if you come in on Saturday, you'll be able to catch it on the replay. And there should still be an audio version podcast. I was a little bit late on the last two shows. I did post them. So those are available for anybody that decides to listen to it on the audio side. On the YouTube side, obviously it's going to be there, and I'll try the best I can to keep it relevant and, of course, available for you guys whenever you need it. But yeah, with that being said, there's a lot of things that's still going to be coming up. I know July is technically and the end part of it, but if you notice that we're kind of getting out of that summer lull, we have OnePlus. I don't even know why I didn't mention it. So OnePlus, the OnePlus 10T is going to be launching on the 3rd of August. So that's not next week, the week after that. The week after that, in the middle of August, we have obviously the Samsung launch event. Wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing more and more device launch events and things like that coming up. There is going to be a lot of buzz, a lot of conversation going on. The first 8 Plus Gen 1 processor device launching in the US is going to be a OnePlus. So this is something that's big because both Juan and I have had access to 8 Plus Gen 1s, but they're more specifically Chinese variants of these devices. And that's typically what happens. Qualcomm releases their chipsets, and essentially the Chinese market releases them to their consumers faster than the international market or the US market does. But yeah, with that being said, I mean, there's a lot of things to keep in mind as far as things going on. My next week's focus overall on content on the main channel is going to be Pixel. It's going to be Pixel, Pixel, Pixel. I think that's pretty much what I want to be able to live in. I did pick up a scooter that I also want to put out a video on. So it's the Okai scooter. If you follow Juan, you'll know exactly which scooter I got. And what the video that I'm making for it. So that's going to be that coming up very soon. I'm finishing some more footage from that this week. Dropped another video for HyperX. If you're a PlayStation fan and you own a PlayStation 5, definitely a must-have for any PlayStation 5 users. It's a great dock that just gives you access to be able to charge your controllers and be ready to go with a fully charged controller, charged directly from your PlayStation using that dock on the go, and you never have to miss it. So definitely there. Thank you to HyperX for that, and thank you to OPPO for, of course, sharing the Reno 8 Pro with me to be able to give you guys some of my thoughts on a great device with the 8100 Max from MediaTek. MediaTek is going to be making a lot of waves, and I hope 2023 will be the year where we start seeing the 9 series, the 9000 series coming up in the international markets in the US, because we're really, really needing some competition. Don't get me wrong, Qualcomm does a great job. Qualcomm has done a lot to improve what they've done. We're going to hear from them in November. They announced their tech summit in November, and we're going to see what they do. The 8 Gen 1, is it going to be the 8 Gen 2? The nomenclature still kind of escapes me, but we should be able to see what their aspirations and things going on. And we already know that the TSMC built of the 8 Gen 1 with the 8 Plus Gen 1 is performing better than what we saw with Samsung, with it about 10 to 15% less power draw, but still delivering on the performance that the 8 Gen 1 is supposed to give us. So with that being said, Let me go ahead and find our first comments. You're probably starting seeing those comments in the chat. Please definitely, I would appreciate you guys joining in. It's a great way for us to showcase and celebrate everybody hanging out with us here on the show. And this is a little bit of a visual effect, and it does a very a very interesting way. So let's see if we can time it right. I'm a little bit rusty. It's been 3 weeks, so let's do it. I don't know why I went with the Stewie voice, but it's late. Okay, here it is. I got it. Okay, sorry. So I will say thank you very much for everybody for hanging out with us. Thank you to Finn, Jacob, TK Bay, TKception, TK Teampixel. Thank you, man. That knocked it out absolutely. Happy Teampixel, happy Pixel 6a week for everybody. And of course, next week's launch. ER Ibrahim, thank you very much. TKception, kicking it with us. Sam, all the way. Thank you very much. I hope you stay cool, man. Try to stay cool and make sure to hydrate. TKception in there. Chemi kicking it with us as well. TKception, TK Androidception, TK Amigo, TK Pixel team. Absolutely, yes. Always appreciate being there, and thank you for Greg. Thanks for the chat, Greg, as always, and of course thanks for the recommendation. I'll keep you posted on that one. Peaks, please find your Nexus 6. Oh my God, yes, right. It keeps falling off my mind with so many things to take care of. I still need to figure out where it is. Absolutely, man. I'll have to find it for sure. And of course, as always, Matt, the main man, Purposely Gaming. If you haven't checked him out, he's over on Twitch, streams weekly. His content for games, basically a Call of Duty king, god in that game. I wish I was even 1/3 of what he is, but I always enjoy able to jump in a few games with him whenever I'm able to. So hopefully next week I'll be able to jump in a couple matches in there. The game looks pretty good. Definitely the update is very, very nice. I'm hoping that the audio thing got fixed on my side. If not, I do have some workarounds. Jimmy Fire Dragon, thank you very much for kicking it with us. As always, TKception, stay hydrated. TKR Bay, TK Reno Bay, always. And of course, the man, the myth himself, our Mr. Cumberbatch of our channel, Aditya Anil, TKception, TKR Bay, TK Tesla Bay, TK Teampixel Bay, TK helping consumer make good purchasing decision Bay. I love it. Love it. Absolutely kicking it with everybody here. Of course, Dominic Wong. Hey, Dominic. Hope you're doing well. Sorry if I missed any of your comments, but I appreciate you kicking it with us. And I hope you're staying cool, man. I hope you're able to stay cool and things are doing well. Jermaine, I do want to say specifically thank you for hanging out with us, man. I haven't seen you for some time. I know we typically run into each other over on RogerBot's stream, but I've been out for the last week and a half or so. So I appreciate you coming in, kicking it with us here. And of course, hanging out with us on this beautiful Saturday, the 23rd of July. One more weekend, and we actually are in August, and it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be super crazy. Sorry, let me just make this stream a little bit bigger, and so I can actually see the comments in there. Everybody hanging out with us, kicking it with us as always. So summarizing everything, like kind of a nicely thing. Pixel 6a, very promising, must check out, and definitely a lot of good things to be said about this. Everything that's been said to this point, I think, should be taken with an understanding that these are pre-production pieces of hardware that haven't gone through an update cycle or two, maybe from Google. So there will be conversations going on, and I hope that I'm able to be part of those conversations with you. When it comes to the Reno 8 Pro, if you're in a market where the Reno is available, I think you're going to be definitely surprised with what Reno's been able to do. The improvements over last year with going into an 8100 Max from MediaTek is a much bigger leap than a lot of us realize. The 1200 series and the 8000 series are geared slightly differently, and I think they perform much better. And this is kind of closer to the 9000 series than it is to the 1200 series. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like and subscribe as usual. The audio version of this podcast will be coming up very shortly after this show ends. I appreciate your support. And of course, please share with all your friends. And we'll talk, we'll be communicating and conversing. There's links to my socials over on YouTube, as well as Instagram and Twitter, TKDSL8655 and TK Bay on YouTube for the English channel, and Tarek Bay, Tarek Bay, for the Arabic channel. Be safe, stay safe. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for your support, for your continuous support. And I'll see you next week for another episode of the Android Bay. Bye-bye for now.